Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than my usual content because I actually wanted to discuss the piece I'm working on in this video. Before we start, I want to give a quick apology because for the first few minutes you're going to see my hair in frame a lot. This is because I was trying to get the border of the card perfect, and as you can see the numbers on my ruler are black and I was working on black paper, so it was really hard to see, so I got up real close. It does get better later on in the video, but I just wanted to mention that before we started. So the piece I'm working on today is my own artistic interpretation of the tarot card The Moon. Now before we start, I would like to read to you the definition of this card from the app Golden Thread Tarot. In its upright position, it means the following. Night is the time when dreams and fantasies rule. The moon also represents instincts that we have buried in our own unconscious. They come out to play in the moonlight. But the reflections that we see springing forth can also be illusions. It is easy to lose your way in the dark. I chose this card because I feel the definition of it really appeals to me, and I've always had a strong connection to anything moon and nighttime related. I used to be a lot more of a night owl, but nowadays I like to go to bed early. But I've always had such a deep appreciation of the moon. I don't know what it is about a dark night sky with stars and seeing a beautiful full moon, but there is always something so magical about it for me. Now, to get into what I'm working on conceptually, as you saw earlier, I started off with a full moon and a bat that would kind of frame the full moon, but I didn't really like the way that turned out, so I decided to switch it up and make like a moon that is sort of, in quotation marks, wrong, because it's, it's downwards instead of to the side or a full moon, and it's basically dripping moon water into the lake below. I went with this specific concept because I felt it spoke both to the illusion part and the intuition part. In tarot, the suit of cups is usually the one reserved for emotion, but it's also often connected to like liquid. So I thought intuition would flow nicely with having water being dripped into the lake, but also because the moon feels sort of off, it's in a very unnatural way. It's very much that fantasy aspect, that illusion aspect. So I thought I could convey that message of the card in that way. Again, this is my own interpretation. I am an amateur tarot reader, so please do not think that I have the perfect interpretation, but this is just sort of what I went with. I included the eye in the moon mainly because I really like eye symbolism. I don't know why, it's just something that really appeals to me, and I thought it would be a nice thing to add in the center to have it framed. Also, to bring it back once again to intuition and perceiving things. Now, what I'm mainly doing here is just decorative work. I was thinking about what kind of pupil I wanted to add to the eye. I decided to just go with a human pupil in the end because everything else that I did didn't really look so good. So now I'm adding some beadwork that's like dripping down with some stars attached to it. I always really like the way that this like embellishment looks, like the little dot work. There's something so delicate and so pretty about it, I think. It doesn't have any particular meaning. This is just, I think it's pretty. I suppose you can also sort of tie it back with the fantasy aspect of the card. Now what I'm also adding to the background is mainly just some decorative stars. I feel if you're gonna do a card like the moon, you're gonna have a night sky, and I feel like a night sky is not complete without a bunch of pretty stars. So we're actually getting towards the end of the sketch phase here. I still need to do a bit of texturing on the water because I wanted there to be some ripples. When I first conceptualized this piece, I already knew I wanted to use my metallic Finetec watercolors for this, and I also wanted to use a pretty limited color palette, so I decided to just go simple and use silver and gold. Before we get into the painting process, there was a lot of experimentation with the kind of corner embellishment that I wanted to add to the card, because I specifically left those corners blank so I could add something to it. And I had several different types of designs, and none of them really appealed to me all that much. So in the end, I actually went with a pretty simple designs. As you can see, I'm redoing it quite a lot. But it's sort of like a very simple, almost like arrowhead shaped triangle that I'm putting in those corners. And they're just going to give a little bit of a different corner element. And I'm actually also going to use a contrasting shade on it, as you'll probably see soon. Now we're getting into the painting process, and I'm starting off with the silver Finetec paint. I thought it would be a really nice border for the piece, and I think it was the right choice to put there. It has a very strong contrast with the black because it is such a light tone. I'm usually someone who works with very cool tone palettes. That's just generally speaking my preference. But I decided to also incorporate the gold into this piece to have a nice contrast with the cool tone silver and to really make the piece pop. I will say that as far as commentary goes, I'll probably be a little bit more quiet for a little bit and just pop in whenever I feel it's necessary, because I feel there isn't much to be said when I'm, just coloring in a moon. So I'll get back to you when I have more remarks to make on the piece. Now this is where I regretfully make kind of a big mistake, which is that I put a line above the water droplet, even though the droplet was supposed to come over all of the ripple lines. The problem was that I just kind of went rogue for my sketch, and I don't know why I made that decision, but here you're going to see me try and fix it with some acrylic gouache to try and remove the line. Unfortunately, in the final piece, you can still sort of see it. It's less noticeable in real life than it is on camera, but you live and learn, and that's why you should make a good sketch and then follow it. And sometimes you get good things from diverging from your sketch, and sometimes you make terrible, terrible choices that haunt your artwork because you will always see it because it's there. I think I hit it relatively well in the end, but it's definitely something that I kind of just did impulsively and regretted it. Also, I'm sorry, once again, I got really up close to the canvas, so you see my hair quite a lot in frame. we're sort of getting to the final stretch of this piece, I'm just going to ask this out of sheer curiosity. But have you ever done tarot? Have you ever laid cards? Have you ever had someone else read cards for you? What do you think about it? I mean, all answers are valid. If you think it's stupid, that's fine too. I won't be offended. I've just always find it incredibly fascinating. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, a comment, and if you want to subscribe, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye!